afternoon. It's Ronaldo Mesa with the Real Man, Real Leaders podcast. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is April 2nd. Beautiful day out. Wish we had more rain, but doesn't look like we're going to get any anytime soon. We have some special guests today, and I'm glad they're here. They have created something that's kind of unique, I think, for us here in Garden City. But I think they're also taking it around as well, and has to do with children, which obviously connects with us. You know, we're all about teaching leadership and teaching our young people how to step up and taking the lead, no matter whether you're at home, school, or, you know, in the community. You know, that's what we're all about. So I want to welcome Jenny Hands and Trevor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
We really, when we talked a little bit and I saw your story and you wanted to be on, and I'm glad you did. I'm glad you reached out because that's what we want. We want to kind of introduce you, although some people already know about you, but we want to introduce your concept, what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. And so, Jenny, I'll start with you, and Trevor, feel free to step in. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about yourself.
My name's Jenny Hands, and I grew up in Kansas, but not here in Southwest Kansas. I was a Central Kansas girl, but a small town. And one of the things I think that comes into our conversation about Red Dog Children's Museum is our focus on ensuring access and equity for all children in our museum. And when we say access and equity, a lot of times that's socioeconomic, and that might mean diversity. But in my mind and in Trevor's, that also includes rural children versus the children in the communities. We both grew up
as a whole, right?
Yep, I grew up 7 miles outside of a small town, so it was always, oh well, everyone in your class can do that, but not you, because it's a 20-minute drive to go to soccer practice every day, and that's not going to happen.
Tell us a little bit about your education, though, because I know you've got a master's in K through 12, right?
Yeah. So I went into education when I was ready to get out of a small town, and so I wanted to go. I ended up choosing to go to a private Christian college in the Chicago suburbs called Trinity International University.
I caught that.
And it was a great.
It's a long ways from home.
It was a 16-hour drive.
Before you go, how did that happen? How'd you get?
Because I really wanted to leave home.
How'd you find out about it?
The internet, I think. I mean,
it
just kind of Google. Actually, no, that's not true. My brother had a friend who knew about it. I was looking. I thought I was going to go into ministry, and so I was looking for a Christian school. I didn't want to go to the one everyone wanted me to go to. That was pretty much the thing. And there's nothing wrong with that one.
Good for you.
Yeah.
See?
So I wanted to forge my own path a little bit. So my brother had a friend who gave me a list of a few different schools he recommended across the country.
That's cool.
And I first visited a different one, and it was like a definite no. And the thing, that campus had zero grass. And I am not a nature girly, but turns out I need a little bit of grass.
Sure.
So when I did my campus visit at Trinity, they not only had grass, they had a lake and a gazebo. And I just felt like it was my place. So I went to school
Trevor,
there.
what about you? You obviously, you're a little bit different. You come from a farming family, right?
Right.
The Hands is well known throughout Southwest Kansas, I believe. But tell us a little bit, and then we'll get into the rest of the story. How you grew up and some of the experiences you've had, because you worked in LA, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So,
How you got started.
I guess really quickly, I come from the Plymell, Kansas community and just south of Garden, and native of this area. Left for about 12 years. I went to, I got my music degree at Friends University in Wichita, went on to get my cinema television, master's in communication with cinema television in Virginia Beach, and then got a gig over in LA and was there for nearly 6 years doing media production, various gigs there. And then in 2011 came back to work on the family farm, and then found my way into doing some TV ad sales for cake. And then that led, I started my freelance business with video production, and that opened the door to Garden City Co-op, which was one of my biggest clients, and they ended up hiring me full time. So I've been there for about 13 years now.
Wow.
So,
but see, this is why I want even our young people, if they watch some of these things, you went from small town, both of you, to, bigger things, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome.
I think what's more awesome is that we came back.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying, right?
Right.
But it shows that if I can do it, you can do it. Type of thing, right?
Yeah,
when you're
absolutely.
talking to the young kids.
I mean, I will say one of those pinching moments, like, is this real, was when I was in Beverly Hills and we were doing an interview with Sidney Poitier, and I was in his house.
Wow, really?
And I was just like, I'm a farm kid from Kansas. How did I end up
That's
here?
what I mean, guys.
Yeah, so.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember watching him when I was a little kid. I'm a little older than you, but wow. How'd that interview go?
So my boss we were kind of the LA extension of Harpo Productions, or Oprah's company. And so Sydney was donating a whole bunch of his books to a girls' school that Oprah had funded in South Africa, I believe. And so he was doing this big donation, and she wanted to interview him. And so I was there, and actually, all the people that weren't involved on the camera crew or as the on camera had to kind of stay back. And so I ended up chatting with this guy, and really nice, amicable, and I was just like, I know this face, but I just don't know who he is. And then Oprah says, like, can you see Tyler? And then I was like, I've been talking to Tyler Perry. So,
you met Tyler Perry?
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Wow. It's a small world.
Yeah.
He's got way better stories than me and that stuff.
Well, no, they're both equally important as far as I'm concerned, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm just saying I haven't met lots of celebrities, but
yeah, but y'all connected to one now.
Yeah.
That is cool, and I like and I brought it up before we started, and I don't know whether it's you or Trevor, but what you said in your bio here, we believe strongly in the value of leaving to learn and returning to serve. I think that's awesome. I don't know who that came from, but that's awesome, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And that's so. Tell me a little bit about the Red Dog Museum, how it got started, how did it get its name?
There's a lot of questions in that one question.
Take your time. We got time here.
Yeah. So how did it get started?
Yeah.
Well, together we have one son, and
what's his name?
His name's Graydon. He is 7. And this was way before, way earlier. He was very young.
Sure.
It was also the time of COVID, so things were closed.
Tough time.
It was very challenging to raise a child in that time. We didn't know it was our first one, and so far our only one, but it was a little harder than we expected to find things to do. But as COVID things lifted, we started to go to, anytime we would travel, we would go to children's museums. Our first one was the Children's Museum of Denver at Morisco campus. If anybody listening has a child, almost
Awesome place
any
to
age,
go.
it is one of the premier children's museums.
Say the place again.
It's the Children's Museum of Denver at Morisco campus is their official title.
Okay.
I don't know why they need that. They're the only one. I don't know why they need that, but they do.
Who knows?
And now along this journey, we've actually got to meet a few people from the Denver Children's Museum, and just in short interactions, but it's so wonderful that that's kind of where our story started. We were there for an appointment, but then we thought, well, Grady's like 18 months-ish at the time, I think 16 or 18 months. We'll go check it out. There's probably nothing for him. And we had the best time. We connected as a family. They had stuff for every age. He learned so much. We learned so much. And now we've been back a few times to that children's museum.
Cool.
And so anytime we traveled after that, we were always looking, well, do they have a children's museum? Let's go there. And so that transitioned into different times, sitting on our living room couch and saying, man, I wish Garden City had a place like these children's museums that we visit. And there's a few different parts to the story that all come together. There's also having a small child. He really enjoyed watching Blippi, and Blippi would occasionally go to children's museums. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we had one and Blippi came here? So that's one of the thoughts. And just also a passion for our community, for Garden City, and for equity across the state of Kansas. Children in Garden City are the furthest of any other child in the state from a children's museum. We're an average of 300 miles away, and that's...
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, of our 10 nearest children's museums, 8 of them are outside of the state of Kansas too. And then those 10 are an average of 300 miles away. And we know from talking with Finney County Economic Development, a lot of our families here are not taking a weekend trip to go out to other communities and to places that have those experiences. And we just wanted to provide that here for children and also for the families.
You say 300, so imagine Colorado, Denver area, and then Kansas. Which is there even one in Kansas? And because 200 miles to Wichita, is there one in Kansas City? Or?
So Exploration Place would be the closest coming from the east, and then we have Kearney, Nebraska, Amarillo, Texas, and Pueblo, Colorado. Those are the closest ones to us. Wow.
Yeah. But in Kansas, there's also one in Topeka. There's many in eastern Kansas. But as far as western Kansas go, it's not here.
That's why you do it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So how'd you get the name? Or do you care to share that?
Oh, no, we're happy to. So we got this idea, sitting on the couch. Why don't we have a children's museum? Turned into somebody should start one. And that turned into... Are we somebody? And then it turned into maybe we are. Can we even do that? Is that allowed?
Well, then we thought, I was like, would there be a need here? And that's why we approached Finney County Economic Development.
And it finally at some point turned into, we're doing this. Are you committed? I'm committed. Let's do this. And we could not come up with a name. We did not like Garden City Children's Museum because we really wanted to be for all of Southwest Kansas. And most children's museums are named for their city. But we're regional. We're not just Garden City. And so we didn't like that. The Children's Museum of Southwest Kansas didn't have a good ring to it. And so we just kind of left it unnamed for a while as we worked on the project, and we started to look at what exhibits would we do? What would we want our visitors to learn about? And we started on an exhibit that we now call The First Kansans, about Native Americans in the region and what that looked like, and about one of the things we were reading about was how important buffalo and bison are to the region and were. And one little sentence doing the research said, bison calves commonly referred to as red dogs. I
did not know that.
Right.
Did you know that?
Neither did we. So bison calves, for about the first 6 months of their life, their hide has a very orangey red hue to it.
I've seen that.
And so they're called red dogs. And we thought, what about Red Dog Children's Museum? And we just love the imagery, for all of Southwest Kansas, bison are a part of our history. And we liked the idea of, bison are raised by herds. So the community coming together to raise our red dogs. Here in Garden City, they could start out at Red Dog Children's Museum. Garfield Early Childhood Center, they are the Little Buffaloes. And then we have Garden City High School, the home of the Buffaloes. So we thought it was a great transition from, birth to graduation. And there's just a lot of good imagery. And afterwards, we've learned more about bison, and they are incredibly curious creatures, and like remarkably curious. And that's exactly what we want our children to be.
That's cool. That is cool. So you started in 2022?
So we formed our 501c3.
Okay.
Because as we started talking to some possible agencies that could help us with some grants and things like that, we had to have our 501c3.
Sure.
So before we even did a lot of that talking, that was the first step. And so we became Red Dog Children's Museum in October 21st of 2022. Okay. But then there's all the research and all the planning and all the documentation that came from then until May of 2024, really. So.
Cool. And then you are these topics that I was reading, that you have cultural understanding and education, you have agricultural literacy, you have Southwest Kansas history and heritage. Are these some of the core things that you have placed in the museum? Mm-hmm. As far as material?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously agriculture is huge in this area. It's one of our primary big economic drivers, and a lot of history to that. And so we wanted to definitely, and people are getting further and further removed from farms. Even here in Garden City, it's, there's a lot of need in agriculture education. So that is one of the things that we're focusing on, as well as Southwest Kansas history for people who move here that don't know anything about our history here. And then additionally, one of the big, drivers was something that, happened in 2015 when bomb plot was actually thwarted by I think it's the FBI and Kansas Department.
You're right.
And so anyway, you have just a lot of this fear about people who are different than you. And we were thinking how do we best help turn that? I mean, the fear is a lack of understanding. And so how do you help people understand something that you're not familiar with? And it's just education and how best to do that and start that with kids. And so a lot of our exhibits actually incorporate a lot of that.
Good for you.
So one of our it's not our flagship, but it's a big part of our mobile exhibit that we started in May 2024 is food trucks. And so we did that because Food Truck Friday in Stevens Park was a big thing. And we saw a lot of families gathering, a lot of that turning into more of an event all day. And so we fashioned an outdoor ice cream truck play area into something on wheels and turned that into food truck. And so the menu features different menu items from countries that are represented right here in Southwest Kansas. Cool. And so the idea is that, these kids can say, I recognize that, I see myself in that, and we're educating those people who are not from those countries. This is some of the things that you might find cuisine to eat in those countries. And, dining together is just a big, cultural thing as well. And so just kids can recognize themselves in those things, as well as on a music exhibit. We have a tubulum, if you've ever seen Blue Man Group playing the ping pong paddles, and it's very similar to that. And so there's children's songs that are from countries. We're still working on, adding more, but we're trying to introduce more songs from different countries. The thing that was a learning moment for me was that so many of these cultures, it's not something you can just type into YouTube and find a children's songs, because a lot of them are orally passed down, even created by their own parents or grandparents. And so that's been the struggle to find some songs that represent these countries, is because they don't exist. So that's a challenge that we're going to have to figure out how we bring that forward. But currently we're trying to find the ones that are available that we can incorporate into our music exhibit. And there's some other ones that we can work through as well as we grow. But that's where we started as a starting point. And, the intention is that we'll keep incorporating as much as we can.
It's well received, right? I mean, have you caught any criticism? I mean, because you're teaching about other people and other cultures, have you gotten any of that?
Well,
I'm just curious.
with this political climate, I mean, I think there is a lack of understanding what a children's museum is for the first part. And a lot of people see, well, you're just a play place, but there are a lot of educational things that you can learn through play. And so it's not just playing with toys. I mean, a lot of our exhibits are fashioned. I mean, Jenny could probably speak to that a little bit more about the Kansas education standards that we put these towards. But we're here to serve the kids. We have this thing called the ABCs that we serve all children, no matter their ability, background, or culture.
Good.
And so that's
good.
Our mission is children first.
Right?
Yes.
They're innocent until we put crazy crap in their heads. Sometimes all children are precious, and as far as they're children of God, and we need to treat them as such, regardless of who they are and where they come from. So that's good to hear that you're doing that. I was just curious whether anybody gave you any static for teaching kids, these different kids from different places, stories, songs. And it doesn't sound like you've got too much of that, have you?
It's been mostly positive, and then occasionally, you're never going to hit.
Karen, right?
You're never going to hit 100%.
Right.
So yeah, some of those comments can be disheartening, but we have to just remember, the other 98% that we receive that are positive. But with that to say, people who are listening, one thing we do really appreciate if you like what we're doing is to let us know, because it is a lot of work and it's exhausting, and it is really helpful to hear that. And the more positive comments we get drown out the couple of negative ones.
Good. That's good to hear. I think you should keep it up. It sounds to me like it's well received. You're doing an important work here, I believe. I agree with you. I think the more we learn and tell our stories to each other, the better off we are. That's the problem. We don't sit down to learn about or tell each other stories just because they look differently, speak different than me. They're not part of my clique, So therefore, I go to my corner and they go to their corner. I mean, it happens on a daily basis. You see it in churches. I can walk in. I've done it. When you're invited to some place, you start to gravitate towards where you feel the most comfortable, right? I mean, it's almost a natural thing to do.
Right.
I'm trying to get better at go over there. Let's go over here, and meet these people and talk to these people. I think if we did that more often, I think we'd be better off. But that's my thinking. So, what's the future look like? What do you want to do? How you want to grow? I obviously want you take this. Tell me a little bit about the mobile. How far do you go? Where do you go?
We travel within the 19 counties of Southwest Kansas. It's we copied the same counties that Russell Child Development. Yes. And we have not made it to all 19. If you're listening from,
you'll get there though.
We would love to get there. And so if you know of an event we need to be at, let us know. Yeah. We have an event request form on our website, which I'm sure we'll plug at the end. So people who are hosting an event can reach out to us to try to work out if we can come and if it works for everyone.
How can they do that though? Can you give us a phone number, email?
Yeah, we have a form online at rdcm.org, and that when they submit that, it gives us all the details we need. RDCM, Red Dog Children's Museum.org.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page. It's very active. It's all Trevor. I'm not really a Facebooker. But that's, Facebook, Red Dog Children's Museum. So yeah, we go out and set up. It is a long setup and tear down process. It's a lot of work. So another form you could find on our website is our volunteer form.
Oh, yeah. Tell us, we are always looking for volunteers, aren't we, Edgar?
We are always looking for volunteers, whether that's for one event, for lots of events, if that's to maybe be a board member one day or to just help with fundraising or special events. We do have a lot going on, and we definitely need help. So there's a volunteer form as well, and we would love if you're interested in helping us to fill that out. I don't think I answered the question, but I've forgotten what it is.
No, you did. I was trying to
Oh,
say.
where we go.
Yeah, where do you go?
19
How far do you go? You said you're going to try to hit the 19.
Yeah.
So can't go ahead.
We go from Greeley County all the way to Ness and down to Clark and over to Morton. So that square box of Southwest Kansas.
Yeah, cool.
So everybody has that thing. It's like, where does Western Kansas begin? And that's our definition. That's like,
Yep.
And so you have board of directors, right?
we do.
Yeah, because good for you.
Yep. But you asked where we want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
What does the future hold for you?
so we actually our dream is to have a physical museum that we can come to at any time, because in Southwest Kansas there's two problems to going and playing outside. It's either too hot or it's too cold, or really three problems: too windy. We have a lot with the roaming museum. Trying to design exhibits that are windproof is a challenge. Yeah, we've had a few that have had to be sidelined because they don't work in the wind. But we actually last summer procured a building in downtown Garden City, and we are working hard to fundraise to renovate it into a children's museum.
That's the one on 8th Street.
Yes.
407 North 8th.
Yeah. I see your sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So, well, good, man. I hope that works. I hope that works out.
Yeah.
I think, again, you're providing such an essential service to the community, the parents, and these children. Go ahead, Trevor. You want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, so kind of like the model that we were trying to fashion this. So we recognize that a lot of people can't drive, to Wichita, to Pueblo, to Kearney, or anything like that. So, and some might not even get to Garden City. So like, how can we reach those and be equitable? And that's how we have the idea of the mobile museum, where we travel that area. We wanted to be, because it takes about 2 hours to set up, and then you have your event, and then 2 hours to tear down. So we have to factor all that in. And so we felt like those were, close enough that we could do that and do a day trip and don't have to worry about the expenses of hotels and things like that. So that's why the 19 counties is what it is. I mean, some of them are very close, and we'd love to be able to accommodate more. At this stage, we just don't have those resources. So, but the mobile part is designed to be free of charge for any guest attending, and how we try to support that effort is we ask businesses, to donate and be a sponsor. They can sponsor a one-day event, and we got other options as well, and so. That part is free for the guests. And so with the brick and mortar, it would be fashioned more like a children's museum, where you'd have admissions, you'd have some reduced rate for those that qualify, and you'd have, your annual passes and things like that. So that would be more traditional to sustain what we're doing and try to get more revenue generation.
Well, you have to be creative. We run Real Man, Real Leaders. We have to be creative and to sustain ourselves. Okay, and you can't just rely on grants.
Right.
You got to think out of the box, and so that's a good way of doing it. And we as well are have to be creative and think out of the box. But I was going to say something that kind of left me for the moment. Going back to why we do this podcast and talk about leadership is we're not just having leaders per se because they have a title. We have people like yourselves on because and we use what the Kansas Leadership Center uses. We've kind of espoused that, embraced that leadership has nothing to do with the title, has everything to do with activity. And you guys are demonstrating that. That's what I meant. So I didn't want to leave that out because you're doing that, and we want to have more people like Jenny and Trevor on. And is there anything else you'd like to share before we sign off? Did we capture what you would like the folks to know about what you and what's going on? You got anything coming up? Any events? Any fundraising event?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
Why don't you talk about the concert?
Oh yeah. So last year.
Can you? Are you okay with
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
I mean,
We're currently trying to get some sponsorships for our. We did a fundraising event last August that kicked off this deal to raise money to renovate this event space that we have, and we got a guy that is a singer-songwriter, Dove Award winner. He actually toured with Rich Mullins, and
Rich Mullins.
And so he came. I asked him if he'd be interested in doing that. He was enthusiastic about coming to Garden City, and so then he gave me a call earlier, back in the winter, and asked if he could come back. And so we said absolutely. And so we're having him back because we hopefully are starting construction around that time frame. We're going to be at Moonlight Harvest. And we are going to have his concert there on July 30th, which I think is a Thursday at 6:00. And so right now we're looking for sponsors to help us make that event happen. And once we have that, we'll be more publicly letting people know.
Do you have
about that.
information on the sponsorships? Is that or how do I get that?
So right now it's not. I haven't had a
Working on it.
Yeah, working on it.
Yeah.
Well,
As soon as
We're
you do-
happy to send it to
Yes.
you.
As soon as you do, send it to me.
Okay.
Okay, because I'd take a look at it, and if we can help, Real Man Real Leaders can help in any way, let us know.
We love that. Yeah.
So, but anything else?
Well, I mean, we've described kind of, who we are. And like I said, like what we're trying to do is help our communities fill a gap. And I just briefly touching on a few things. I mean,
Sure.
I know one of the things, I'll let you talk a little bit about it that we're trying to do is help close that gap with childcare. Now, we're not a daycare. We're not fashioned as that. But the goal is that we can have camps available when school's not in session, especially in the summer. And so I don't know if there's anything.
You talk about work. That is really work.
That is work, yeah. We experienced, especially as our child aged out of daycare, traditional daycare. I was in a position where I was working year round. Trevor's in a position where he's working year round. And what do you do in the summer when your kid is too old for daycare and they're an only child, so you don't have an older brother or sister who can watch them? And so what options do you have? And our child, we had some great childcare providers who loved him, but he was definitely too old to be going to daycare, and he was still going to daycare because we had no other options. And we would look for camps and things, and there are some wonderful ones here in Garden City that are maybe half a day or 3 hours, and those are wonderful opportunities, but they're pretty hard for two-income, full-time working parents to get your child to logistically. And so one of our goals and dreams, once we have a building set up as a children's museum, is to provide camps on days where there's no school.
That's a good idea.
And that it would
Ongoing camps.
and that it would work in the parents' schedule, and not be something that takes over any other camp that's already happening in Garden City. We want to support those, but at the same time, something that can be reliable, and where education can be the focus. So we're thinking of different topics that we could have. So each week might be a different topic for camp, but we could have different things. So you could theoretically go to Red Dog for the whole
So
summer.
important because, like we were talking earlier, I was telling you before we got on about a teacher and having the outdoor experience with these kids. That's how she started school, and the parents really, really are supporting her. But that's what those camps, that's what I'm thinking that it can do for them. It's not necessarily a classroom setting, so much more of a hands-on type of experience. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. The building that we have, it would be inside, but we are fairly close to Stevens Park, so we could probably do some walks out there and
that
things.
Could change for you, right?
It could, absolutely.
We
have
do
quite a few different ideas.
We do have dreams that once we're, once we are in our building for multiple years and have a proof of concept of what we're trying to do, we'd like to raise money to get our own building one day, but that is in the future.
But that's okay. It's what you have to do, right?
Right.
You have to
A little bit at a
you have
time.
to plan. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't we can't do everything in our vision right now.
Right.
But we're just trying to do what we can.
Sure. Just gotta plan accordingly.
Yeah, we're hoping just that people can catch on to the idea, and like, as we share, this is where we're headed, that people can kind of latch onto that and get excited. And another thing I was going to say that we've recognized is, a lot of those community surveys came back and they said we need more things to do with their families, and so. And then also this area being a regional hub as it is, we're already bringing people in. So this is just one extra point that we're hoping that not only attracts tourism and more hotel stays, is more of an economic driver, contributor to having that commerce come from other areas, as well as our locals, and meet those needs. But then, I'll let Jenny talk about this, but the other thing was, a lot of our things are based in STEM, and one of our mobile exhibits actually kind of caters to that, as we realize that we want to
Tell the folks out there what STEM means.
I'm gonna have this educator do that.
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
It's a big deal now.
It is, and also there's the STEM acronym, and now the education phrasing is changing to STEAM, but then we don't entirely agree on what the A actually stands for yet.
Okay.
So it could be art, it could be agriculture. So we like both. So science, technology, engineering, agriculture, arts, and
There's
math.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think all that stuff's important. I really do.
Yeah, so those are some of the things we're trying to focus on educationally through our exhibits that we're designing.
Yeah, we recognize that, we're also trying to help kids get curious and excited about the different career paths there are. And so we have one exhibit that is kind of helping introduce kids to the area of construction. And we'll hopefully do some other things as well with that. But again, trying to kind of keep that talent, in this area long term. By having them explore some of those opportunities that are right here.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a good question. I always bring it up when I'm talking to folks because it's upon us now. But AI, does that factor into anything yet to what you're doing, or because your age is young, maybe not so? But AI is here. It's going to stay. We're going to have to learn to use it and use it appropriately. Yeah, I can do bad things as well. It already is. But as far as children, have you thought about that yet? Or
It's not included in any of our exhibits or any of that development.
Just curious.
But I actually was hearing on the radio again today, and we've heard many times, AI is here to take your jobs, and the response is, no, but it's here to take the jobs of people who don't know how to use AI.
There you go.
And so it may be something that we do need to look into, but I'm not sure or confident what that might look like in this scenario.
I think a little bit more in the white collar type of positions. I think I'm a real estate agent as well, and I see the impact it's having on that industry. I think it'll have an impact on the insurance industry. Several of those industries. I did read a good article in Business Insider. I think it was Business Insider that companies now are encouraging students to use AI effectively. That if they're going to hire you, they want you to learn how to use AI appropriately if you're going to go to work for them. I mean, to me, and I thought, wow, if some of these companies are going to start expecting that, then we better really be teaching our children how to use it effectively, honestly, and not for nefarious reasons, I guess.
I mean, right now, as far as what AI is being used, it's mostly with what I do, is because there's just not enough hours in the day to do two full-time jobs.
Right.
And so, basically how I've been looking at AI is it's been a time saver, and it's been able to, I put in my original thoughts and then I have it edit, and you gotta check that sometimes because it makes mistakes. So you can't just go off of what it spits back at you, but that has alleviated so much time. and to some of the things that I do. And going back to kind of the mission of Red Dog and wanting to kind of get kids and their caregivers to lean into that curiosity and the creativity and imagination. I actually used the AI generated video for a little campaign fundraiser deal that I did, just to kind of dabble my feet in and figure out how do we use this.
You're touching it a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. And where you said it saves time. It does save time. Yeah. You got to fact check it or make sure it reads right. Because I use it, sometimes I use it. And Edgar's the one that's always on me, man. Hey, man, use ChatGPT, Ray. What are you taking so long for?
Well, I did have another thought, though. Even if our exhibits aren't ever, AI themed specifically, if we don't ever come up with that, the concern about AI is that it does sometimes make mistakes.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do in all of the educational aspects is to provide a solid foundation for critical thinking skills.
There you go.
So that as they get older and they see things that are created by AI, they can have that light bulb or alert go off that says this doesn't seem quite right.
Good point.
And that we've worked on developing those skills.
I think there are too many. There are people out there that are putting the fear, that it's going to take away critical thing. I don't think so.
No.
I really don't. Also in the workforce, it's not going to replace a plumber, electrician right away, is it? I mean, we're going to have robots how long it would take for them to wire a house?
I think you've seen those patterns, the same arguments being made for the computer and then the calculator, and you go on and on and on. And that fear that stems from the new thing. And yes, it can be used as a crutch. And, I mean, if you're on that screen time all the time, and you want to make sure to have that balance. But it's a tool, and that's what it is. It is a tool to help you achieve your results in a more efficient way.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Well, I really enjoyed this. See, I wasn't for sure. I mean, I read, and I know you're doing a good thing, and you're doing a wonderful thing as far as I'm concerned. And anything we can do to help you, maybe we'll have you back on once you get to a certain point, or you'd like to put something down there. We'd love to have you on.
Yeah.
It's cool that you were from here and you went out and you came back. Like I say, that line was a mic drop. I think that's cool what you said. You go out to learn, but you come back to serve. I really like that a lot. So, folks, this concludes our podcast for today. I want to thank you for joining us. And if you're interested in sponsoring this podcast, or even sponsoring something that Red Dog is doing, give me a call. Give them a call. How can they reach you?
Director
Jenny, say it one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All of our information's on our website at rdcm.org. You can also get to us through our Facebook page, Red Dog Children's Museum. If you send us a message through Facebook, it goes to both of us, so that's helpful.
Cool.
And then anything you submit through the website also goes to both of us. If you just want me specifically, it's director@rdcm.org, and Trevor is marketing@rdcm.org.
Good. Thank you. And again, if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast or being on, please let me know. You can call me at 785-230-6388. You can also email me at Ronaldo Mesa at Real Men Real Leaders. No, did I say that wrong? Ronaldo Mesa at realmenrealleaders.org. Edgar, what's your phone number? You don't want to give it out? You don't want to give it out, so you're going to get all these phone calls. Edgar's our guy. This is a studio. This couldn't happen without him. That's what I mean. It takes a little bit of money to put this on, but at the same time, it's twofold. You're not only helping us with the cost of providing this production, but you're helping us support our boys with Real Men Real Leaders, and now the girls' She Leads program, which we just recently started. So we appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time. God bless.